Hi, my name's Ornelas, and I am the director and founder of the Food Empowerment Project. And I want to thank Patrice for her very nice introduction. But I also want to mention that Patrice has a book that she did not mention called Aftershock. And so if you haven't read it, it's a really powerful book and one that can help heal you as you're going through this process of being an activist.
I've read it, it's really good.
I kind of have read it. I've read bits and pieces of it, but I know it's damn, oh my God, it cost. It's very good. Anyway, I just wanted to say that about Patrice because she didn't say it for herself, and that's a whole nother panel, so we'll just deal with that. So I was asked to speak today on, I run a group called Food Empowerment Project, and we are a vegan food justice organization. And what we do is we connect the issues, and I've been asked today to speak on a couple of issues we work on, which is access to healthy foods in communities of color, low-income communities, as well as farm worker rights and the chocolate slavery issue. But I kind of want to be sure, and you're going to have to forgive me because we have all this information on our website and our publications, and I also really want to use this as an opportunity to also talk about the movement in general. And so I'm going to kind of breeze through these issues where I could really kind of go off on my little soapbox on how important these issues are, but I'm going to try to not do that this time. So as we all know, there's a common link when we look at oppression. It is the vulnerable who get exploited, whether it be animals, women, workers, children, communities of color. It is those who are seen without power and those who are believed to not have a voice. Most of us can figure out the biggest incentives for exploiting others, which is profit. That word drives so many too often to look other ways to approve their actions that they would not normally stand up to scrutiny. Under capitalism, both humans and animals are typically working for the profit of others. A system which is inherently about exploiting and keeping them oppressed sees no problem in allowing it to continue. One of the ways that we work on it as a vegan organization, and as you all know, if you are encouraging people to consume a vegan diet, you're actually therefore encouraging them to eat more fruits and vegetables. But we can't act like our eating habits are cruelty-free when we have farm workers in the fields who are treated without respect, without dignity, without pay, without health insurance, and without the same basic rights that most people who have any job are allowed to have. Our diet is not cruelty-free because we're vegans. We have to accept that. We have to use our voices. There are over 3 million farm workers in the United States. Over 400,000 of these are children, some of which are as young as 5 years old working in the fields. They are not paid minimum wage. Sometimes they're paid by the hour. Sometimes they're paid by how much food they can pick, which is going to be based on how quickly can they pick that food. For a bucket of tomatoes, they can get 70 cents per 12 baskets of the buckets. Strawberries, not much more than that. In California, the average age lifespan of a strawberry worker in the state of California is 49 years old. They're not expected to live past that. They work 8 to 14 hours a day. They are exposed to toxic chemicals. Many of them live outside, or they live in their trucks, or they live in labor camps, which are located in environmental injustice communities where they're located between dumps and correctional facilities where they don't have transportation to get to grocery stores where they need to buy their food. Since 2005, over 16 farm workers in California alone have died due to heat exposure, which there's a law is supposed to be protecting them. The governor at that time, Arnold Schwarzenegger, vetoed a bill that would have allowed farm workers to be paid overtime wages. Why? It wasn't good for business. Now, I only ask people to think really quickly about what business we're talking about. We're talking about the business of growing food. So what? All these farmers are going to pick up and move all their farms to New Mexico or Arizona? I don't think so. Businesses in California, we have the right to set standards in our state, in the United States in general, for how much money they get paid and how well they're treated. One of the other areas which kind of goes hand in hand to this is access to healthy foods in communities of color and low-income communities. I spoke last year at the Animal Rights Conference in New Zealand, where I was tying in the work of Food Empowerment Project to what was going on in New Zealand. And unfortunately, what I found out is this problem of communities of color and low income not having access is a global problem. It's a problem for the First Nations people in Canada, it's a problem for the Maoris in New Zealand, and it's a problem for the Latinos and the African Americans in this country. And this is a huge problem when you talk about advocating for, veganism in these communities. You have people saying, why don't we have more people of color in the animal rights movement? Well, you know what? How much work are we doing in this movement to really work on those access issues in those communities? To talk to these people about vegan foods when they don't even have access to fresh fruits and vegetables is offensive. I find it outright offensive. What we did in Santa Clara County, and we have a full report on our work, is we went and we surveyed high and low income, you should keep time on me, high and low income areas in Santa Clara County. We knew what we'd find. The higher income areas, way more access to healthy foods than the lower income communities. But we wanted data to go to the policymakers to prove what we were saying was true. Now, we're an all-volunteer group. All of us have full-time jobs. But we were able to do this work and do the surveying. We've since gone back to those impacted communities, all the low-income areas in Santa Clara County. Mind you, Santa Clara County is where Google is based, where Apple's based. It's the Silicon Valley. There's a wealth of money there. Yet we have areas where people don't have access. We did focus groups in the impacted communities in San Jose's. In every single group, everybody knew what vegan was. And two of these focus, we're talking about all done in Spanish, all below poverty level, and two of these focus groups, they had kids who were vegan. They didn't know how to cook for their kids. They were thrilled when we came in and we provided free vegan Mexican food as a thank you for participating in the focus group. We can do the word, we have to do the work behind it. What we found in our report, again, wasn't, 3 times more access in the higher income areas and low income areas. But one of the other things we found was that the ability to find meat and dairy alternatives was very difficult in these communities. And for us, we are a justice-bound organization. We understand and accept that there are benefits of a vegan diet, but we're doing this because we care about the animals. That is why we work on veganism, but surely because of the injustice that takes place to animals in factory farming. But we can't deny when working on this stuff, when you have areas that don't have access to milk alternatives, the Department of Labor in the US admits that 95% of Asians, 60 to 80% of African Americans, and 50 to 80% of Latinos are lactose intolerant. So what's happening there? You have areas who are completely denied access to dairy alternatives, and they're getting sick off of what's being provided for them. I call that food apartheid. I call that an outright form of injustice where we're forcing these communities to consume foods that are actually bad for their health. So, and we have been lucky enough to have the help of Stanford University. If you read our report, we have the mayor's office. We have all sorts of people who supported our work who knew we don't hide the fact that we're a vegan group. But they knew the work that we were doing was important, and we are willing to do it without any pay, just like all of us do the work we do for the animals. The underlying of most oppression in this country and those dealing with race and class. As much as we would like to say that this country has gained ground on issues such as race, I believe that we have actually just worked harder to push it out of our view. And when you look at instances like this, if you look at the majority of the factory farms and all toxics are based in communities of color, it's an issue we choose not to accept, and we want to pretend it's gone away. And I'm going to go briefly into, somebody really should be timing me. Chocolate slavery. I'm trying to go through as fast as I can. Chocolate slavery. This is a big pet peeve of mine that people say, oh, our chocolate's cruelty-free. It's vegan, so it's cruelty-free. If that chocolate is coming from the slave trade in Africa, it's not cruelty-free. In West Africa and the Ivory Coast and Ghana, you have children who are kidnapped. You have children who are sold into and who are basically slaves, downright slaves working for the cacao industry in areas of West Africa, which is where 70% of our cocoa comes from. You have kids who are locked in at night. If they try to escape, they are killed or they're beaten. The reason why I got interested in this is because in 2000 I saw a BBC segment on what was happening in West Africa, and they asked one of them, when they escaped, one of these slaves, what would you say to a Westerner who eats chocolate? And he said, when you bite into chocolate, you're biting into my suffering. And I thought as a vegan, that's exactly what a non-human animal would say, and I dropped chocolate. But you don't all have to hate me because I'm not asking you to drop chocolate. We have on our website a list of chocolate that we do and do not recommend and the reasons why. We have tried to make it as easy for you as possible. There are only vegan companies on that list, meaning that they could be like Newman's, may have products that are non-vegan, but if they're on our list, they make a vegan product. So you can go to our website. We have a link on this on our website. And you can go through and you can see the companies we recommend, the ones we don't recommend, and why. Your favorite company's not on the list, give us their name, we'll contact them and ask them where they source their cacao. Your favorite company is on the list, on the do not recommend list. I encourage you to write them and ask them to disclose. We currently have a campaign against Cliff Bar on change.org. We're asking people to sign and share where Cliff Bar will not disclose to us where they're getting their chocolate from. And as consumers, we absolutely have the right to know if we care about this issue. But you know what? We can't even get 500 signatures on that petition yet. Why? Because the vegan groups aren't getting behind this. They say that's not our issue, even though Cliff Bar makes primarily vegan products. That is what they make, but that's not the issue. We can't get 500 signatures on it still, even though you can turn something on any animal issue around and within less than a week get over 1,000 signatures. We need to start speaking out. How can we be, I won't say anything. I will say that a lot of vegan companies, included some who are being given at this conference, did not disclose to us. They are vegan companies, we're a vegan group, and they won't talk to us about where they're getting their chocolate from. That's unacceptable. Okay, so I'm out of time. So I'm going to stop, but I have a lot more to say, and please, please, please use your voices for all these issues. Our strength is in our consistency. If we talk about being compassionate people and care about it, how can you sit there and drink Coca-Cola? You can't. It's a contradiction. As much as we want to look at other movements for their contradictions, we need to look at our own. Thanks.